you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years,
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. An early start today at noon. We hope our regulars are in the viewers' room. We'll see soon, Pierre. But Pierre McGuire, Jimmy Murphy right here. After a, well, I guess we could say predictable win for the Florida Panthers, Pierre. The series so far kind of going the way we expected it. Looked for a bit like the Oilers might be able to steal one last night, but the Panthers, as they do with so many opponents, just wear them down as the game goes on. They come away with a 4-1 win.
Yep, and I would just like to apologize first before I get going. I'm unshaven today because I came straight from the rink to do this show early, so I apologize for looking a little disheveled. But we will continue with the podcast.
You look great, Pierre, by the way. You look marvelous.
Thank you. You're kind. We had a good session, by the way, on the ice today, which was good. But anyways, I'm not surprised Florida won that game. I think we talked about it yesterday. You know, as well as Edmonton played in game one, you could see in the third period of game one that Florida was starting to pick it up. And then from the start of that game, I think at one point the shots were 8-0 or 8-1 in favor of Florida.
Yeah.
Even though Edmonton had a 1-0 lead, first shot, first goal, you could tell that this was not going Edmonton's way. That was more like the Florida team I was expecting to see in game one. Mm-hmm. And I think it becomes a real slippery slope for Edmonton from here on. I know they'll have a huge push to start game three. Obviously, those fans are unbelievably energized in Edmonton. They're going to help them the first 10 minutes of the game. If they don't capitalize early in the first 10 minutes of that game three, I think they got a minuscule chance to win in game three. If they don't score in the first 10 minutes, I think it becomes really hard.
Well, one thing, Pierre, that we're seeing already on both sides is injuries are starting to mount up. And two key players, one obviously much more key for the Florida Panthers, in Sasha Barkov, and of course Darnell Nurse battling something, had to come in, go out, come in, go out. His minutes were down. So some injuries are starting to mount up on each side. Let's go though, Pierre. Let's talk about the Barkov injury, because a lot of debate today all over social media. A lot of people saying that Leon Draisaitl should be suspended for his hit. Let's go to this hit right now. We'll come back and we'll analyze.
And there is a penalty here on Foegele.
The leg contact is clear. The leg is extended. Man, that's a bad-looking hit on Eetu Luostarinen. Hopefully he's okay as his leg extended here. He's not putting much, if any, weight on his left leg. Hopefully it's above the knee where the contact is, and not right really on the knee.
Pressure on his left leg.
Okay, obviously the wrong clip there.
No.
But that's an important clip as well, because that I think was very pivotal in this game. And Pierre, I want to say too, you and I discussed this. Sam Bennett also had a similar hit down the other end, and
let's do this appropriately. First of all, a big part of this is storytelling, and so that clip is actually really appropriate.
Yeah,
and I know people in Florida aren't going to like this. That's definitely a knee-on-knee hit. That's definitely a knee-on-knee hit, and that's definitely a 5-minute penalty. I completely agree. And again, I grew up watching Warren Foegele when he was playing at University of New Hampshire before he left to go to play for Kingston Frontenacs. Okay, so I know the body of work really well for Warren, especially when he broke in with Carolina. He was an important player there for a little while because of the energy he provided. But that's not a good hit. That's a bad hit.
No,
this is the thing that's not going to make people in Florida happy. You have such a dramatic hit, and the response from Luostarinen, and I know he's had issues before with a broken leg. I get that. He can't be back a shift later. Mm-hmm. Not when you look like you had just been shot with a 30-06. You can't be back a shift later.
It's true.
No, I'm sorry, and I'm telling you, this is where people. And look at this kid's an honest player. He is. It's like, Evan Rodriguez had a huge game last night. You go back and look at what happened in the series with the Rangers, stayed down on the ice after the Trouba hit. Go look at what happened last night, the collision with Darnell Nurse, stays down on the ice. I'm not saying it's a macho thing, but you can't come right back the next shift if you look like you've been, hospitalized from a hip.
Yep. And Pierre, this is something as you and I discussed off air, and I'll bring it up now. And like you said, we respect all the players involved here, and we're not saying that they're actors or they're dirty players or what have you.
Oh.
But there is some things that are creeping. We're going to get to a couple other things too, right? That we saw a lot of last night. That's creeping into this game. Like, I'm a big soccer fan, right? I love watching my Liverpool. I love watching the Premier League. But one thing I can't stand about soccer, specifically over there in Europe, is exactly what happened there. Milking it for the call, staying down, making it look a lot worse than it is. And it's becoming part of the culture in the NHL. It's happened drastically over this last season. I've noticed it a lot. I don't know if it's because I know a lot of these guys are big soccer fans like myself. They watch a lot of soccer. I have no idea. But it's becoming an epidemic in this game, Pierre. And players are staying down, and you almost sometimes you can see them kind of looking up like, should I get up yet or not? And that's when I know, all right, he's not as hurt as he appears to be. That needs to stop. And I don't know how you address it, whether it has to be captains, coaches, GMs, the league. I don't know how you address it and prevent it from becoming bigger than it's getting, but it needs to be reevaluated in this offseason, in my opinion.
Hockey operations will take care of that. They've done it. They've created a list of players, I can tell you, over time that have been serial divers, let's say, or serial people when it comes to embellishing a hit. They've got a list, trust me. Mm-hmm. The referees know who these people are. They do. So they've been on this progressively for a long time. So I just want to make it clear, I don't think it's an epidemic in the league. You use that term. I don't. Mm-hmm. What I do think, it's becoming more apparent that people are doing it. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that needs to be addressed. But I don't think it's at an epidemic level right now. But here, and this is important, Jimmy, this has nothing to do with the Florida Panthers, who are one of the most robust teams I've ever seen. And this has nothing to do with the Edmonton Oilers.
No.
But this is all part of the storytelling. So we saw Foegele's hit. I didn't like the hit. I think it's a 5 in a game. I do. I think it's a 5 in a game.
Yep.
But you can't tell me on the other side of it that the player is so severely injured that he can come back a shift later to be on the power play.
Yeah.
And then not miss a shift the rest of the game. Don't go there.
Yep.
So now let's do the second part of the story. You wanted the clip played? Let's play the clip of Draisaitl.
I don't know if we have it, Pierre, because my bad. I forgot to send that when I sent the wrong one.
That's okay.
I'm sure by now everyone's seen it.
Everybody's seen it, and they've heard the calls probably in Canada and also in the United States. And here's what I would tell you. I didn't hear people with Florida anything about Bennett's hit on Marchand in the last round. Or two rounds ago, excuse me, 2 rounds ago. I didn't hear anybody saying that was really bad what Bennett did to Marchand. Did you? I didn't hear that.
No.
The hit from Draisaitl is nowhere near as bad as the Bennett hit on Marchand. It's nowhere near as bad.
Agreed.
So let's just tone it down. I don't know. It must be because of social media, Jimmy. I think because everybody has a voice, which I completely understand. I understand it. But I've never seen this before with playoff hockey. Every game, every penalty is scrutinized. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, though, Pierre, and you and I were talking about another thing that we think is kind of crept into the game and needs to be addressed. And we've seen it. We saw McDavid take a cross check from Bennett the other night to the face. And then we see what happened with Draisaitl here. What is going on with this sudden freedom, so to speak? These players feeling so free that they can just constantly cross check guys in the face and in the head. Like, what happened to worrying about concussions and player safety? And I'm not blaming the players completely, but it's just, it seems to be getting more prevalent the more we go, and especially in the playoffs. And maybe it's because everything is so magnified right now that you notice it more. But there is a cross-checking issue going on in the NHL right now.
Something we talked about on the eye test a long time ago. Before
in the regular season, by the way.
Before the playoffs started, yes.
Yep.
There is an epidemic of cross-checking that's not being penalized. We see more penalties for tripping. We see more penalties for roughing than we do for cross-checking. And, you know, I don't have the actual stats in front of me, but I watch enough games where I know that cross-checking is not one of the more popular calls.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of other ones that are. But it's something that needs to be looked at. And you talked about cross-checks to the head and the face area. I'm talking about cross-checks to the back.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Some of these cross-checks are bad. I mean, McDavid against Vancouver, you know, he got one in the lower back and then get one right in the face. You know, and Carson Soucy missed the game. But if you look at the one that got him in the back, I would say that one was worse from Zadorov. The one from Zadorov was probably worse than the one from Soucy that got him in the face.
Yeah.
So, you know, anyways, and he got fined. One guy got fined, Zadorov, and the other guy got suspended.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the league will eventually start to come down on cross-checking. But in terms of the Draisaitl hit, if that's supplemental discipline, then there's a lot of other hits. How do you think the New York Rangers' Jimmy Vesey feels about Ryan Lomberg's hit?
Yeah.
You know, there are other hits. There have been big hits. Hockey's a contact sport. It's a mean sport played by really tough people, and there's no out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. But I've never seen this level of disparagement of officials. You know, teams yelling at fans of other teams yelling. I've not seen this level of discourse. It's kind of sad, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not something that the game needs right now as they try to grow it on the biggest stage in the Stanley Cup final. And Pierre, one more thing too, and you don't have to comment on this. I just got to get it off my chest. There is some of my fellow colleagues, whether it's in Boston, Florida, New York, what have you, I'm just calling all over the NHL, have become, in my opinion, too attached to the team they cover. And too, I'm trying to think of a polite way to put it, but I can't. Too fanboyish. And I see, you brought up the Marchand Bennett incident in round 2. The constant retort that I got from media members when I was criticizing that hit. Now, Pierre, you know that I'll criticize a Bruin just as much as I'll criticize a Panther. If I think it's warranted, I'll say that was a bad hit. That was an uncalled for hit. The emblem on his jersey does not matter to me. I'm here to give you my opinion and my insight to the game. I don't care what team they're on. But I see those Panthers reporters that had no issue with Marchand getting sucker punched by Bennett, saying it's just playoff hockey. You got to just let things go. You just got to let them play. It's playoff hockey. Come on, Murph. When did you become such a pacifist? What's going on with you? And now they're up in arms over what happened with Draisaitl. So it's like you can't have it both ways. And I just wish that some people in the media would be a little more objective these days. It's just something that's been really rubbing me throughout this playoff is that, I mean, I've seen, and I'm not going to name names, but even a well-established reporter that's in the Hockey Hall of Fame waved the pom-poms for the team he was covering. So it's something that I think needs to be reevaluated by the media right now. We're there to cover the team. We're not there to cheer for it.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to change that, though. You know that. So it's not a hill you want to die on. Just being frank and giving my 2 cents of advice.
That's what you're there for, my friend.
You're not going to change that as much as you would like to. And I think there's a lot of positive intel that you just provided. But I would say this, and I mean this sincerely, the discourse has to come down.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that's ripping the refs or everybody that's ripping the coach or everybody that's ripping the players. I mean, the stuff that Darnell Nurse went through in Edmonton from his own fans.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
I know.
And I'm not on social media. I'm reacting to what friends of mine are telling me that are in hockey, that make their living doing this.
Yep.
Make their living making decisions based on, you know, whether a player can play or can't play or whether a coach can coach or can't coach. And I mean, I grew up in one of the most maniacal hockey markets you could ever have, Montreal.
Mhm.
I never saw this.
Yeah.
Never. Not like, no.
Well, I'm going to jump outside of hockey a bit, but it's just an overall reflection. I don't think it's just one thing I should say, Pierre, and I think we both agree, this isn't just a hockey thing. This is a societal thing. Because I look at right now, the Boston Celtics are in the NBA Finals, and they're up 2-0, 2 wins away from their 18th championship. And all the majority of the fans calling into the radio stations here or on social media can do is blast Jason Tatum, one of their best players, saying, oh, he's not trying out there. He's not worth the money. He's not this. He's not that. And I'm just like, can you just be happy that your team is up 2-0 in a final? Like, isn't that what we're here for? We're not here to criticize every little thing. We're here to enjoy it. Sports is supposed to be an escape. Like, just be happy. Like, you know how many fan bases would do anything to have their team up 2-0 in the NBA final, the Stanley Cup final, or the World Series? I mean, just take a deep breath and enjoy it. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do.
Right.
But let's just finish off on the hill. Yeah. I don't think that the league will provide supplementary discipline.
I don't either. I think it would have been mentioned by now, Pierre. I mean, as we speak, it's 12:20 p.m. Eastern. I think we would have seen.
And it's a travel day. We haven't seen anything.
Oh, yeah, good point.
It's a so that might hesitate a little bit on it because I don't know what George Peros is doing in terms of travel. I don't know what Colin Campbell is doing. So I couldn't tell you. I'm sure Edmonton probably left around 9 a.m. Eastern time to get back for midday or try to get back for close enough to midday as they can in Edmonton, just so they can get some rest and rehab. Because game 3 is their game 7. They got to win game 3. But I don't think there'll be supplementary discipline. I just don't believe there will be.
Okay, now let's look at the other issue on that hit, the health of Sasha Barkov. Now it looks like a jaw to me, Pierre. He was holding his jaw as he went off.
Yeah, it's definitely in the mouth or the face area. No question. I agree with that.
Well, first off, I want to make a great point I saw on Twitter today, and I think he wrote a story about it as well. George Richards, our friend from Florida Hockey Now, mentioned that he played with a broken jaw before, earlier in the season, and he wore the full face mask before, so he is used to that. So if they said, look, you can go, but you're going to have to wear the full shield, he's all right doing that. But if he can't play, Pierre, how much does that alter the way we look at the outcome of the series right now or the outcome of the next game?
Well, it makes a difference because he's done an amazing job 5-on-5 in making McDavid really work hard to create offensive opportunities. So that he makes a huge difference, not just there for power play, penalty kill, face-offs. He makes a big difference. The good news for Florida, if you look at it, they're really built through the middle.
That's what I was
Bennett is elite. Lundell is becoming a very important player. Stenlund is the unsung hero with that group. Never gets enough attention. Really a good pickup. That's a pro scouting pickup, by the way. It's a great job. Now I know Zito knew him from Columbus, so that helps. But that's a heck of a pickup for them. It's a really monumental pickup. Maurice knew him as well. Paul knew him, so they knew. So the one thing I'd say, let's just say that he's out. Like he can't play. I'm not saying he will be, but let's play hypothetical and say he's out.
Yep.
Nick Cousins can come in. Stenlund can move up. Bennett can move up. Lundell can move up. And then Cousins plays in the 4-hole. He can play center.
Yeah.
And then is it the same? No, it's not. You're not as good. But Cousins can give you 7 to 10 minutes, which is basically what, the fourth line's playing in Florida right now, and give you good energy, especially on the road. And he won't be overwhelmed. He's a super pest, Nick Cousins. He's good at it. He's really going back to when he played in Sault Ste. Marie. That's what he's good at. He's really good at it. So would it affect the series? It would. I don't know how much, but it would definitely affect the series.
Well, if there's a team that can handle it though, like as you just pointed, they have so much depth. And it's almost like, when Zito's building this roster, he's doing it for that purpose. Hey, we're going to get to the playoffs. There's going to be injuries. That's just the way the playoff goes. And he's made sure that he's checked all those boxes below Barkov.
Yeah, but what helped Billy, and because again, when he was playing at Yale, I was coaching at St. Lawrence. So I've known his body of work as a player and as an agent and as a management person. I'm sure he would tell you Dale Talon did an amazing job acquiring amateur talent with his scouting staff for a long time. And so when you have guys coming through the organization that are good players, you can go out and make deals that bring you Matthew Tkachuk. You can go out and make deals that can bring you Sam Bennett. You can go out and make deals that can bring you Brandon Montour. You can go make those deals because you've got assets in the organization. I mean, to this day, I still can't believe that they could have Zach Hyman. He was drafted by Florida. He was a 5th-round pick. Aaron Ekblad was a 1st overall. He's still playing in Florida. He's done a good job for them in a matchup. He and Gustav Forsling. But you see my point.
Yeah.
As a manager, you can make those deals when the guy before you didn't leave you with the cupboard bare.
Yeah, for sure. Good point. Yeah. And by the way, you bring up Ekblad. I already saw it in the comment section. I was expecting it. Is he now going for WWE after his hockey career?
The chokeout on Bouchard.
Yeah. That was interesting.
You know what? That was really. Did you see who? I don't know how far back you watched it, but you know who told him to stop? I don't know if you saw. Did you see it?
No, I didn't notice. I was just zeroed in on that.
It was Zach Hyman.
Really?
Yeah, he said, cut it out.
Huh.
The guy was having a hard time. It was Hyman. Yeah. If you watch the wide shot, and then they cut to it, Hyman's the one that tells them, cut it out.
Yeah, to Ekblad's credit, I mean, I'm not in his head. I don't think he knew that it was getting as bad as it was, like like, hey man, slow down. Or
that's why I'm telling you. And it wasn't it's not because the officials weren't doing their job. They were dealing with a lot of other stuff too. But it was Hyman who was the calm guy, and he's respected around the league. And I'm sure Ekblad saw him and said, okay, I get it. If you watch Ekblad kind of let's go in a nice way, not in a gregarious, mean, vicious way. But he choked him out. Yeah. He wasn't good.
Yeah, and he's tapping, let go.
Yeah, he was choking him out.
Yeah. All right. We mentioned injuries there. I want to talk about how Darnell Nurse's injury affected the Oilers, Pierre. And you made a great point to me on the phone earlier today. The minutes that one Evan Bouchard has had to play because of that. And he just doesn't seem like he's ready for that amount of minutes on a nightly basis right now.
He was over 30 minutes last night. It's the most he's played in the playoffs. If you go back to, was it game 2 or 3 in the Dallas series, he was at around 23, 24. That was probably his best game in the playoffs. He was really good in that
That's
game.
his sweet spot, I think.
Yeah. So, but he's up to over 30 minutes now. And you saw him 2 really tough plays in the third period. One was a graphic turnover that leads to the Rodriguez goal. And another one was a bad containment play along the boards that leads to a Florida
and
goal.
A bad penalty in the first.
Well, he took 2 penalties in the game that weren't good. So, that's a lot to ask. I know people are saying, well, he's not a kid anymore. It's 24 years old. I totally get it. But he's never walked this rope before.
Yeah.
There's no safety net for guys that have never played in this. They don't know.
Stanley Cup final.
That's what my point is. He's playing in the final. So, I say this to you a lot, Jimmy, and this is not being rude to anybody. Everybody wants to be in the Stanley Cup final. Everybody thinks they know what it is. And I get it because TV's bringing them inside, or you go to the rink and you experience. But until you play it, until you live it, until you travel in it, you have no idea what it is. You have no idea.
It's true. It's true. And I mean, look, and that's not like you say, it's not to take away. He's done some wonderful things in this playoff, obviously.
Yes.
But they're going to have to figure that out. We'll see.
I don't know. They say Nurse is playing game 3. I take them at their word.
Okay. So he's playing, Pierre, but that still doesn't mean he's 100%. You're going to have to balance those minutes out more.
But this is where you need to be careful. Very few guys are 100% right now.
Yes, exactly.
Very few are. Like Evander Kane's not 100%. He's just not. He's not. 100%. He's on the ice with the goalie pulled, though. But Evander Kane, look at his ice time. I think he was around 10 minutes last night.
Yeah.
So is he 100%? No, he's not. I would cede you that. But a lot of guys aren't. You know?
Well, Marco Larabia in our comment section right there says, why didn't they play Broberg more? He's looked great.
He played 17.
Bump him up.
He played 17. I said to Mitch Melnick yesterday, I thought they should bump Broberg up to 20. I said that yesterday before the game.
Before that even happened.
Before it even happened, I said that.
There you go, Marco.
I'm just saying you can go listen to the Melnick podcast. I said, or a radio show. I said that because I felt that's what he had to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider where Darnell is health-wise. I'm not sure they were counting on Desharnais to give him, 17 to 21 minutes. And I think he was around 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Off top of my head.
He was 15:59.
So there you go. So
Broberg was 17:12.
Yeah, I knew he was 17. So, Marco's not wrong. I agree, but that's what I felt before.
I've noticed I've been impressed with him since he's been getting more chances out there. He's kind of gradually improved his game.
No, so the big test is going to be maintaining what you saw him do the first two games here in the final, and then going home and handling the emotion of the crowd.
Yeah.
So for the guys that have never been through it on home ice, that's the hard part.
I'm glad you're bringing this up. This was going to be a question I had for you.
What's that?
This was going to be a question. This was going to be a Jimmy from the Village question for Pierre McGuire.
Yeah.
And I'll say it now then. I'm glad you brought this up. All right, let's talk about this because I think it's one of the most interesting aspects of playoff hockey, and I've seen it so many times just covering the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think back to Game 7, Stanley Cup Final 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, a different situation there. That's a Game 7, but this is a Game 3. But you've seen it. You've been in a situation before, and I'm sure you can bring up what it was like in that series. You were down 2-0 to the Capitals. You come home, you're down 2-0, and your joint's going to be rocking. Your fans are going to be like a seventh man out there. They're going to help you as much as they can. How do you feed off that in a positive way and not a negative way? And people say, well, how can that be negative? Oh, it can be negative. Because if you don't, from what I've learned is even if you don't score, if you're not controlling the play after those first 10 minutes of that place going nuts, their energy is going to come down a bit sooner or later, and the other team can sort of drain them out of the game. So Pierre, just talk to us about that aspect of finding that balance.
You know how players get tired? Fans get tired too.
Yes, they do.
That cheering wears you out.
Yep.
It does. And if your team doesn't give you a reason to cheer, you get really tired.
Or you get frustrated.
That's where you get really tired.
Yep.
So yeah, no, it matters. But I would say the biggest thing for Edmonton is just get on the board first. There are a couple things in a big game that matter. A big save matters, especially if it's your team. A big save matters. Creating chances for. So if you create a lot of chances for, there's energy in the building. A big hit creates energy for you. Controlling the tempo of the game, especially in the offensive zone, creates energy and tempo for you. So there's certain little markers in a game that matter if you're trying to keep the crowd on your side.
Yep.
And when you have human highlight reel players like Connor McDavid is, or Leon Draisaitl is, even the Nuge, even Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he can do some really special things. When you have those players and they are able to elevate, that's another part of keeping the crowd on board.
Yep. Yep. I agree. I'm thinking as you were saying that, I was thinking was it against Toronto in Game 7 when McAvoy laid that hit, or was that against Florida? Remember, there was first couple minutes of a game, and right across the blue line.
Florida it was against Florida, and everybody was talking about what this huge hit was. I'll tell you what it was.
It was interference.
It was interference. I'll tell you what it was. And all the TV markets were, what an unbelievable hit. Yeah, where was the puck?
Yeah, but it did set the tone, though. It was one of those tones.
It was a tone setter. There's no question it was. Yeah. And sometimes you tell players, don't worry about a big hit early on if it's going to do something. If you take the penalty, we'll kill it off.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a sense as a coaching staff early in a series or early in a game, whether you can do that or you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And in that instance, Boston was fine and they needed it and they got it, and Charlie made a good hit.
Let me ask you this, Pierre. If you're Knobloch right now, we all said we really liked that first period in game one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's arguing that. But it was also, I'm still trying to look back at that and wonder, was that first period of game one more Florida not doing what they do best, or Edmonton doing what they do best, or a combination of both? So what my question to you is, can you take that period when you're flying home today on the plane, looking at video, and say, look, I want you guys to go back to this. This is where you'll have your best chance of winning, is if you do the things you did in that first period of game one. Or was it more Florida just not doing what they did?
No, they did. Edmonton did a good job.
Okay.
I don't think it would. Everybody's saying, "Oh, Florida didn't have their A game." They didn't have their A game because Edmonton did.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things Edmonton did really well, they controlled the puck. They didn't just ice it or throw it away. They went tape a lot. They kept the puck off the boards. We talked about how you beat the pressure forecheck. I was watching them do it almost flawlessly in the first period and a half of game one. There were instances last night in game two where they were very good at it. And here are your options. You go D to D quick, you go D to the wing to the middle, or you go D to the center right away. You only have three options. You don't have five. You got three. And you got to do them split second. You don't have 3 seconds. You got that much time. And so that's how you break it. And I saw them do it really well, actually. I was really impressed. So they clearly did some video work. They were ready. But Florida has done a better job. And I haven't heard this spoken of yet. Maybe they have, but they haven't showed it. What Florida's doing really well, if they can't gain the blue line with possession, they have situational directional shoot-ins.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's on the same page, and they outman Edmonton at the point of attack. So either they're short side shooting it in, putting a lot of pressure on that near side D to go back and get it, and he knows he's about to get blasted, or they're putting pucks deep in a corner, but they're coming with speed from the offside, and they know. So their shoot-ins have been way more appropriate. They were in game two compared to game one.
All right. We will move to our questions in a bit. I just want to congratulate Pierre before we do move on. Jimmy Nill getting the GM of the Year, the Jim Gregory Award yesterday. Great job by him, and great job by all the guys involved. Zito. Dallas, I think, is a team, like, I was talking to a Dallas fan who's a friend of mine. He's like, oh, you think they got to, like, make a big change in the offseason? I don't think so. I think they, they'll do some tweaks, but I don't think any big changes need to happen with that team. Pierre, what do you think?
They got a Duchesne issue they're going to have to deal with. Do they bring him back? Do they let him go? That's one. Two.
Sounds like he'll take a hometown discount, too. That's what he's.
Well, it's a no-tax state, so it's not like he hasn't made money in his career either.
Exactly.
So
he wants to win.
He'll be, if he will do that, I bet you they try to bring him back. But again, I think that's going to come down to where's Maverick Bork in his development. Where do they see a young guy by the name of Rich Kovian, who came out of Northeastern, who's a really good player, over 40 points last year, playing college hockey, signed as a free agent by Dallas. Where's he? Justin Rich Kovian. So they've got some options down the middle through either free agent drafting or obviously or free agent signings from colleges or good drafting. So we'll see. We'll see where they go. But I think Dallas is a good team. I do. And I don't know what they're going to do with Tanev. That's the big – if Tanev gives them a hometown discount, I think they're in a real good position.
One sec here. Marco's saying that he already signed?
Who?
Oh, yeah, he's got 1 year left.
Who?
Duchesne.
Yeah, no, I know. But they have to make a decision what they're going to do with him.
Yeah.
I don't think they want him to be what do they call that? 1 year left.
Yeah. That's it. I know the word you're looking for.
Yeah. So anyways, you kind of lame duck.
Lame duck. Yep.
Lame duck year.
I was going to say sitting duck.
But I do think they have to make a decision on him too because of, his age.
Yeah.
And what are they? They're guys coming up in the organization.
Right.
But, we'll see.
They're in good shape, though. All right, let's go to our sponsor, TCS, here before we get to your questions. TCS Customs and Logistics, Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics. From around the corner to around the world, flatbeds to air freight, customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For a no-obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast at shiptcs.com. Again, that's sickpodcast at shiptcs.com. And we're going to be shipping out to Vegas, Pierre, for the draft. Getting excited for that. The countdown is on. I can't believe that's 2 weeks from Friday already. That's crazy. I don't know where this year's going. All right, let's get to our questions right now. What do we got? A to Z me. Bouchard played 30 minutes last night. I like the kid, but that's way too much. Yes, we discussed that. Totally agree. A to Z me. It's like we said, they got to figure out a way to keep him in his sweet spot going forward and kind of filter other guys in and out. So we'll see. All right, next question. Marco Larabia. It's a copycat league. How many teams picking high in the draft this year will be influenced by players, teams who performed in the playoffs? Does it move the needle on players like a Ginla?
Well, everybody's needs to know they need to get bigger. You know, the grit factor is becoming really apparent. If you don't have it, you know, it's not going to work. You're not going to last in the playoffs. I'm just trying to think long term here. Ginla, I think, not affected by that. I think he's affected in a positive way by his World Under 18. His performance at World Under 18 was really good. So I think that affects his status in the draft. You know, he does move up. How much he moves up, I don't know.
Okay, and quickly too, Pierre, on that, I just want to credit you because I remember going back to 2018 when Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals finally got over the hill there and won. You were saying this was coming, this shift. You saw sort of the shift going to bigger, but faster players that could keep up with the speed, but bigger players and guys that were built for the playoffs. What made you think that at that time? Was it just that Capitals run, or was there other stuff you saw that was coming in the game?
The way the Capitals were being built, the way Vegas was being built. You got to remember, Vegas was an expansion team.
Yep.
But they had gigantic trees in the back end. I mean, huge. You got to remember how St. Louis was built, and a year later they won the Cup, and their defense was massive. So I'm looking at teams. Boston was not a small team.
No.
They had big players, and they obviously went to the final in 2019. So I just was looking at teams that was having success. And, I remember doing a lot of playoff series where teams should have been better. The results should have been better. They weren't because lack of size or lack of grit let them down. And so you do enough games, you go to enough buildings, you process enough information, you kind of realize, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah, this is where it's going. All right, next question. State of survival. They want to get a call. That's why they fake it. People like McKinnon are being criticized for being an honest and proud player and a lover of hockey. Why? He told a ref that he wasn't tripped. Oh, yeah, remember that? That was great.
Okay, Nathan is a different humanoid.
Yeah.
I've told you this a million times.
Exception to the rule. A good one.
Nathan is a winner. Nathan is the most intense person that I've seen on a bench interacting with his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you've been around guys like Ulf Sanderson and Brian Trottier and Mario Lemieux and Rick Tocchet and Mark Recchi and Kevin Stevens and Paul Coffey, I'm just talking about players that I've had a chance to interact with, Christopher Pronger, Pat Verbeek. These are amazingly intense humans, unbelievably proud, intense humans. I'm just telling you, Jimmy, none of them are like Nathan.
No, they're not.
Not the intensity part, not even Dickey, not even Rick Tocchet. I'm just telling you, he's at another level.
Yeah.
He's at another level.
I would love to see more players do that, though. And I know you're going to get yelled at by your coach and your teammates. What are you doing? You're taking away a power play from us. But I love the honesty that he showed in that moment. I'll never forget that. That was great.
I'm such a fan of – look, and I don't have to incur his wrath either because I'm not one of his teammates. But, I mean – the visits I've had with him over time have been fantastic. I'm so appreciative whenever he does have time.
Yep.
And he's so frank and he's so honest and he's so refreshing.
Yep.
And he's a throwback player.
Oh, yeah.
Not in terms of how he plays, he's a throwback in terms of how he deals with stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not always politically correct.
No.
You couldn't, like, it would be wrong. I think it'd be wrong to put a mic on him because it might stop some of the stuff that he says.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No. And I don't mean he's saying stuff that you wouldn't, but he's aggressive.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
He's equal opportunity. He'll get the trainer, he'll get a star player, he'll get the coach, he'll get the assistant.
He'll use that word that Charles Barkley used on TV last night a lot.
I'm staying out of that one.
No comment, right, Pierre?
No.
All right, next question. Marco, question for Pierre. What are you hearing about teams caught with their pants down with the cap friendly sale? How many? Oh, I'm glad you brought this up, Marco. I'm sorry we didn't do it yesterday. How many teams are scrambling for a solution?
You know what's interesting? Jimmy sent me that. Was it a couple nights ago, Jimmy?
2 nights ago, yep. 2
nights ago, I think. Jimmy sent me that. And I was like, really? And I was like, well, that's a smart move by Washington.
Mm-hmm.
It's an amazing site. It's really professional. It's unbelievably it's elite accuracy. I don't know if teams get caught with their pants down or not, but I can tell you one thing. It's a heck of an acquisition. I don't know what they paid for it.
Yeah.
Whomever was running cap friendly, they're really happy today because I guarantee you they didn't give it away.
Yeah.
They didn't give it away. But you know what? They say they're going to keep it until public anyways, until July, and then it's there. So we'll see.
So here's my question. Bettman was asked about this, Pierre.
Yep.
And he said that the league, because they were saying, okay, well, will the league now on their own make it a point to reveal cap hits and salaries and all that? And he said, no, we don't think the fans are interested in that. With all due respect to the commissioner, the fans are very interested in that. That question right there is proof. Do you think they should, or you think you just wait? I mean, I'll tell you what, by the way, and for you too, Pierre, if you didn't know about it, but for our listeners and viewers, Puckpedia is another site that's really improved over. They're not as good as Cap Friendly was yet, but they could be. They're on their way. So that's a good place to go to now and start to put as one of your bookmarks and get used to it. They'll be there. And
I have to think. I'd like what you just said because I've heard the same thing from some hockey friends of mine.
Yeah.
I also heard that Megan Chayka has talked about.
She was put a vote out. Should I start one?
Yeah, and I worked with her probably 2 or 3 times this year, and probably 2 or 3 times last year.
Great at it.
I think she would be. I'm being totally frank. I think she'd be very good at it. She's got great attention to detail. She's clearly a numbers person.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing's about numbers. I don't think you need to rate players. That's not your job. Your job is to just, hey, what's the cap? Where is it? Just present the numbers, but do it in a way that people can understand. And that was the magic, I think,
of Cap Friendly.
Cap Friendly.
Yeah.
They made it presentable so that a neophyte can understand.
He was lame.
Like somebody I'm not a math person. You know, I can write and I can talk and I can read.
Mm-hmm.
At a pretty decent level, but I can't quantify mathematical equations. It's just not one of my things. But Cap Friendly, I understood unbelievably well.
Yep.
You know, and so.
Well, there's a market there, I'm sure.
You asked me different. Puckpedia is a great one. I'm glad you brought that up. It's good for those guys and ladies. But when I saw that Megan Chayka was thinking about doing it, I said, she should. She's really good at that. I'm telling you, Jimmy. You know, you work with somebody, you get to see, okay, are they organized? Is it just a bunch of, window dressing? She's organized. She's really smart. She's spontaneous.
Yep.
She would be really good at it.
Yep. All right. Next question. Filterless beer. Sorry, my question yesterday wasn't clear. Do you think that's okay? Do you think the NHL could expand in 2 to 3 years to Houston or wherever? And do you think the potential of that happening is affecting what GMs do now? That's what I thought you meant, filterless beer. So don't worry.
So first of all, thank you for being such a big part of the show. He or she. I apologize. I don't know if it's a male or a female. So I'll just say the bear. How about that? I'll just. Yeah, no, that was a good question, and I like the way you phrased it today. I would be shocked if Houston were not in the NHL within 2 to 3 years. I think there's 4 more teams coming into the league in expansion markets. It's not It's not a bad thing for ownership to get new revenue streams, and that's obviously a huge revenue stream. So, yeah, one of the things that's happened in the NHL is the value of franchises has gone up exponentially. You know, when I came into the league, I think my owner in Hartford sold the team for $80 to $85 million, if I remember correctly. Expansion teams went for $50 million in Ottawa and Tampa. You know, you start looking at it now. Mr. Vinnick's team in Tampa that I think he bought for $250 million is now worth over $1 billion. So, you know, a lot of these investments have been unbelievably successful.
Nice. But I think it's good 2 point though. I mean, GMs, just to answer, I think GMs definitely, Pierre, you know, they're always looking down the road. They've got guys.
I think it's still early for them to be thinking that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's rumors they're going to go to a 4-round draft.
Yeah, that's another. We'll
Not
talk about
7. So I mean, you know, I don't know how you can prepare for that. So I think a lot of managers know there's going to be 4 new teams.
Mm-hmm.
What they're going to be, we don't know. So you got to take care of business today. Lou Lamoriello had the best advice. I got a 5-year plan. I got a 3-year plan. I got a 2-year plan. I got a 1-year plan. I got a 6-week plan. I got a 2-hour plan. I got plans for everything. So I got to know how to implement them because I need intel to implement them. He told me that. I was sitting in his office. I was so grateful to be in his office.
I love that. That's awesome.
It was really good.
Good stuff. All right, next question. A to Z me. Habs seem to be really interested in Yzerman. Do you guys see them maybe trying to move up from their late first selection to grab him if he slips to, say, 15 to 20? Sorry for the many words. Don't be sorry.
Never apologize for that. He's not slipping to 15 to 20.
Yeah, there we go. So they're going to have to move up even more, or they're going to have to take them where they are.
Yep.
All right, next question. Marco, do you find height is overvalued? Is a thick guy at 5'11" as good as a guy who is 6'1" but lanky?
Arm length matters.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be a 5'11" guy, but if you got long arms, it won't matter. Strength, hockey strength, core strength matters a lot. You know, I always talk about this. He's coaching in the American League. He was anyway. Sergei Brylin. I don't know if they brought him up.
Yeah. Remember him?
Sergei Brylin was an amazing draft pick. He was a really good player. He was the king of hockey strength, and he was a shorter guy, but he played like a bigger guy because he had such good core hockey strength. So I think of all those things, it's not so much about your height as a forward more as a forward. D should be a little bit taller. It's about your arm length and your core strength. And that's a big part. You know, Zach Parise is a good example. Sergei Brylin. You look at all the guys, Brian Rafalski, look at all the undersized guys New Jersey had, Neil Broughton. Go look at all the guys they had over time. That was a big core formula for their drafting was we got to have guys that are hockey strong, core strength. So they weren't always the biggest team, but they had a lot of guys that were really strong.
Yeah, you know, one guy I think of, Pierre, that you coached, Mark Recchi. He was like a fire hydrant.
Mark was well, Verbeek too. Verbeek was amazing. Like Patty was tough and Patty was strong.
Yeah. All right, next question. Kook69. Darnell Nurse came and went a few times during the game. Wonder if he's in or out. We shall see. We don't know right now, Kook.
I think he's playing game 3.
Yeah. I mean, I would think he's in. We don't know for sure, but I think
3. I don't think they're prepared to put Cody Ceci in unless they have another injury. But I would be shocked based on what the coach said. I think he's playing.
All right, next question. Are we done? Oh, we might be done. We are. Wow, look at that. Steaming through right on time. They wanted a hard 12:55 out, Pierre. Look at that, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing how that works.
Here we go.
State of producing. We are doing the show early on Friday.
Yes, 1 p.m.
1 p.m. on Friday, just to give everybody a heads up. 1 p.m. on Friday. Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Raymond Bork is on Thursday.
Raymond Bork on Thursday. I am working on something for tomorrow, but I don't want to say yet because it's not sure. So we'll see what we can do.
It sounds like good intel on Vegas. Talked to Eric Tosi today out there in Las Vegas, and Jimmy's going to be working, and maybe I'll be working with him there. trying to work some things out at a very interesting place just off the strip.
Nice.
So it would be very good.
All right. Sounds good. And hey, a night of no hockey right now. 2 nights of no hockey again because they're traveling. So, but you do have the Calder Cup. Oh, what happened to I didn't even check, Pierre. What happened to Calder Cup?
Last night, Cleveland lost to Hershey. So Coachella Valley and
again. Hershey. That's 2 years in a row, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you like?
Hershey.
Okay.
Hershey's good. I know Todd Nelson. I had him in Pittsburgh and Muskegon. He was a good player for us. I like him. He's a good coach. He's a very good coach.
I don't have the stats in front of me. I mean, I can pull it up, I guess. But they have to be one of, if not the most successful AHL franchises, right, Pierre?
They've done well. Coachella Valley's good too, but they're always 10 to 12,000 in Hershey. The building's great. The fans are unbelievable. Washington's been a great partner for them. Capitals. The advanced scouts, like the pro scouts for Washington, have really made sure they've had top-end, older pros there. Their young guys come in and they're not overwhelmed because they do have those solid professional guys there.
Yeah.
They've done Hershey's been a legendary American League franchise forever. You know, frankly.
I feel like when I was a young kid, I remember hearing about them.
Hershey Bears. One of the first pro games I ever saw in Montreal wasn't the Montreal Canadiens. It was the Nova Scotia Voyageurs versus the Hershey Bears. They played a game in the Forum. And I was at the game, and it was unbelievable. I was like, wow, this is awesome. This was great.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you to our listeners and viewers in the comment section for all your questions. Thanks to the production crew up in Montreal. For Pierre McGuire, I'm Jimmy Murphy. This has been another edition of the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind.